Hi, my name's Danielle Carey. I'm a speech language pathologist and an orofacial myologist with Emerge Pediatric Therapy. I'd like to welcome you back. This is the second part of our series, I Spy with my MYO Eye. Today we're going to be talking about overcoming sucking habits, thumb sucking, finger sucking, and pacifier usage as well. There are some benefits associated to pacifier usage, so let's talk about those first. Using a pacifier can decrease the risk of SIDS in infants. It satisfies the sucking reflex. It teaches the infant how to self-soothe. It can provide pain relief following a minor procedure. And in premature infants, using a pacifier showed shorter hospital stays, easier transitions to bottles, and overall better feeding skills. Those are really good reasons to want to use a pacifier. Now, like everything, there are also some risks associated with pacifier usage. So let's talk about those next. When we're using a pacifier, we have the risk of breastfeeding difficulties or early weaning. We never want to introduce the pacifier until breastfeeding's been well established. After the first 6 months of life, when we're continuing our pacifier usage, we increase the risk of otitis media or middle ear infections. We see that a lot in the children that come to us, and in my own children, several times they had ear infections to the point where we need to have those pressure equalization tubes placed. So that's not fun. Dental malocclusions are also a risk from pacifier usage. You could have an overjet, an open bite, a cross bite. And then because of those misalignments, we could also have some orofacial myofunctional disorders develop. So those are all the risks associated with using a pacifier. We're going to talk about how we might want to get rid of a pacifier. There's a lot of different options. Some people recommend starting at 2 to eliminate. My recommendation is that by 2, it is gone. Ideally, I would like it to be gone earlier. So the first 6 months of life, we see a sucking reflex. So it's not volitional, it is a reflex. If we remove that pacifier at 6 months, what happens? We might have a few bad nights of sleep, maybe a little bit of protest. Yeah, they could find their thumb. That might be something that happens. But I would try it if it was me, because you're not going to have as big of a fight at 6 months as you're going to have at 12 months, 14 months, 2 years. As they get older, they get more opinionated about what they want and what they don't want. So I would recommend about that 9-month range. If you have not eliminated the pacifier already, start a new routine where the pacifier is only in their bed and maybe in their car seat when you need it. That way they're not used to having it all the time, and the malocclusions that are one of the risks that are associated with sucking are greatly impacted by the frequency and duration of sucking. So if they have the pacifier in their mouth all day long versus having their pacifier in their mouth just at night, there's going to be a big difference in how their palate is shaped and how their teeth are aligned. So that's something to consider. I would say by 12 months old, I wouldn't really want to see the pacifier, but I understand that it's harder to take away then. So we're going to talk more a little bit later about how to get rid of the pacifier once we've got a child that's 3 and 4 and still using the pacifier either all the time or at nighttime, and we want to get rid of that. So the next type of sucking we're going to talk about is thumb sucking. It's my arch nemesis. My daughter thumb sucked from the time she was in the womb until about a month after I became trained in orofacial myofunctional therapy. So I get it. I didn't think she was ever going to stop. But first, let's talk about some of the benefits of thumb sucking. It can provide sensory regulation. It can help a child self-soothe. A lot of my thumb sucking friends do it when they're tired, they're watching TV, they're upset, and it really helps bring them down and helps ground them. And also a lot of my friends that like to suck their thumbs have a little friend that's associated with the thumb sucking. For my daughter, it was her lammies. She would Hold the lammy in one hand and suck in the other. So those are some of the benefits of thumb sucking. Now let's talk about the risks associated with thumb sucking. It's very, very difficult to eliminate. With the pacifier, we can take it away. We can't take away their thumbs. So that makes it a bit more challenging. Oftentimes, children are not cognitively or emotionally ready to give up thumb sucking until they're about 4 to 5 years old. So prolonged and vigorous sucking can affect normal growth and development of the face, the jaw, speech, and breathing. Let's talk a little bit about why that is. And we touched on that in our first video of the series, but anytime that we don't have 2 to 3 millimeters at our molars apart, that's how far we want it to be resting apart, we're going to be changing our structure. So when we put a thumb or a pacifier in our mouth is hinged open. It's going to allow for these teeth to continue to erupt, which is going to create some of those misalignment of teeth. For thumb suckers, it's also going to put pressure on these front teeth to make them point outward and make our palate into that vaulted V shape. And it really puts the pressure on the palate. And all of those things create orofacial myofunctional disorders. So that's a lot to think about, I know, but that's the reality of our thumb sucking. Now let's talk about the part you're probably excited most about, is the elimination of thumb sucking. How do we do that? So there's a few different programs. At Emerge, we have the Unplug Your Thumb program by Sandra Holtzman, and I really like it. It focuses on positive reinforcement without shame. So a lot of research that has come out has suggested that negative comments do not help. They're not helpful for a child to stop thumb sucking. Some people have success with the nail varnish or thumb guards, and that's great. But overall, a lot of times they will go back to sucking or start sucking a different finger, or some kind of habit will develop. So what we want to do is provide the child with ownership of this. And that's what the Unplug Your Thumb program does. They come in, they meet with an orofacial myologist, they watch a short video, they read a book, and they decide, do you want to do this now, or do you want to come back to me when you're ready? And if they want to do it, then we pick a prize that we're going to work towards, and we have a plan. Every day for the next 10 to 14 days, the child will call in and talk about how the day went without any shame or judgment. And at the end, if they've successfully unplugged their thumbs, they get their reward. And if not, there's no shame. But I haven't found many children that aren't completely done with thumb sucking at the end of the program. So that's super cool. If you want to learn more about overcoming sucking habits, please contact us via our webpage, emergepediatrictherapy.com, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much.